Don't blink, it's your boy Hank. Welcome to the show. Guess you're doing well. They're having a wonderful day on this glorious 5th of September 2025. Today we're taking a choice. We're making a directive choices. And luckily for you, I'm the director of this channel. Today we are continuing, but restarting our recap of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I didn't like what I did yesterday. We are 2 episodes in. So even if that's the case, I don't really care. It happened. So we're gonna be restarting it. I'm still gonna include the first 2 videos that we did, but I was nervous. We restarted the playthrough. My battery is getting lower. It's not a good video, so I'm gonna restart from the get-go. And you know what? We have till episode 7 to do. So I'm gonna try to do 7 episodes in less than an hour. And if I can do that, then I have the show is 8 season, 22 episode. That's 100. That's 198. So there you go. There you go. So let's restart it. It's gonna be a shame, but at least I know exactly what to say. I know exactly how to say it. So, oh, by the way, before I start a video, I always say like let's get this started. For Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I thought for my recap, I thought I was gonna be doing something special. So for Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I'm gonna say 99. For the good place, I'm gonna say let's forking go. And let's go. Let's go. So season 1, episode 1, we got Jake Peralta. He's the first scene, he's the opening. This episode is called Pilot. You're gonna see me watching here because new playthrough, we're dying a lot. Okay. Jake Peralta being the first person that you see establishes. Okay. Take a show like The Office. There's no main character. The main character could be Michael Scott. What you do is the first character and the guy that has the most scene is the main character. So Jake comes in, and there's 2 characters that are there, Jake and Amy. By the way, they're my favorite characters, except for Captain Holt and Charles Boyles, of course. Gobble Gobble, right? Captain Holt, rest in peace, my friend. Thank you for this wonderful character that you play, Captain Holt. Yeah, Captain Holt is my favorite character. Because you see such a change in him, and he's just hilarious. Him and his relationship with Kevin, it's gold. It's gold. It's gold. And okay, so I'm gonna spoil a lot of shit. I should talk about this in the first episode, but the coolest thing about Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right, is that Jake Peralta, main character, has raging daddy's issues. Raging. He never had a father, right? So you kind of see Captain Holt as his father figure, and he even called him Captain Dad, right? And first of all, Brooklyn Nine-Nine having a gay couple is very courageous because, again, hell yeah. But the best thing is Jake Peralta coming in and saying, my dad's. This is, I don't know why. It was very emotional. Very, very emotional for me. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it was. So you have the two, and they have this text store that got stolen. You see right away the type of police they are. So Amy goes in, and she's like, okay, well, can you tell me about the perks? Can you tell me what you saw? She goes in, and then Jake goes in and he's like, yo, I saw the problem. She's like, how did you do that? He's like, well, there's a nanny cam here, so we just had to watch a nanny cam, and the problem is solved. So I thought that was really cool because, again, it's 2 detectives, and this scene kind of implied that Jake is a better cop than Amy, but this tactic or what he did there won't work against everybody. Right, so for this case, he is the better detective, but it's just to show. I think the most important part is they show what kind of cops both of them are. So, that being said, I think this is the important part. The rest doesn't really matter. So yeah, good. Next thing we have the precincts. So we have a meeting, group meeting, which is really cool because you introduce the character without introducing. So what you do here, which is a very cool scene, is you put people in the crowd. And yesterday I was complaining about the red cap, but I'm gonna take it out. The complaint was unfounded. You put people and you put faces that show that, hey, these people exist. Then you present them, and you're like, oh yeah, I saw this guy before. So you feel already part of you're already aware of the people or the character that you're gonna see. There's an instance of the bet between Amy and Jake with both the rest. I'm gonna be completely honest, this wasn't interesting to me, so I'm not gonna talk about it more. But it does establish that there's a relationship, a friendly relationship, and nothing is wrong with it. With a positive competition. However, it does take away from some characters because we have a competition between Jake and Amy. So fuck you, Charles. Fuck you, Rosa. Fuck you, Sully and Scully. Fuck you. Holy shit! There's only that characters. Well, there's Gina, but she's not a cop. By the way, I love Gina. She's an icon. So yeah, so we have Terry Crews, but Terry Crews isn't on it. See, there's a funny scene here where there's a grandma and they pick the flan, which is just to show like, okay, well, this is a funny show because they took a picture of that, which was kind of funny. We have Charles, and this is a really, 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 really good way to introduce characters. So in the same shot, you introduce 3 characters. I would have liked a better introduction for Terry because I think the character of Terry is actually a good character. I think his character is really well written. It's a guy that's imposing, that is buff, but he's super afraid. He's a guy that has everything to be the face of the police, but he isn't the face because there's in the 19 I don't remember. There's certain instances, but there's never been an instance where I see Terry Crews as this huge authoritative figure versus somebody like Captain Holt whose voice make you tremble, you know. So yeah, so imposing but kind of shy, kind of reserved, which is funny contrast. So what you do is you introduce Charles as a great character, one of my favorite character, but you also introduce Gina. So Charles as this love interest, which is Rosa. So you introduce Rosa by the same time. Then you have Gina. See, this is why I restarted, because yesterday I was stressed out, I wasn't thinking straight. Now I'm not stressed, I'm thinking straight, sort of straight, somewhat ADHD straight, but we're still in the line, you know? So you introduce like Rosa, and you're like, okay, well, I have a crush on her, but she's scary, which is kind of cool. You introduce Gina, who is kind of caring because she's listening to Charles, but at the end she makes fun of him. So this is Gina, sweet but a douche. Jake is talking about the new cop, the new chef, the new chief of police. Chef is in French. And what is his, how much he missed the old one. And people are like, yo, of course you like the old one, he let you do whatever you wanted to do. He wasn't a good captain, which is kind of funny because nobody defends that. Nobody except Jake defended the old captain, which possibly meant that he was a shitty captain, right? I think so. You don't know what to take. Should I wait? Should wait. You know what? Whenever you say should, do it. See, let's have a little bit of a Monster Energy drinks and put this in the fridge. That way, when we drink it for Lord of the Ring, because today is Lord of the Ring marathon. The movies, the behind the scene, the whole bedazzle. There you go. Okay. So, as they say in French, 9-9. I miss you, my darling. We haven't had any drinks in 3 weeks. But then, we watched the marathon of Ring Air Wheel. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's have a little party. So yeah, so we present. Funny scene here is that Jake is talking about how the captain is going to be a robot, he's going to be by the book, it's going to be boring. And then Captain Holt listen to him. And this scene is, to me, is very important because it established 2 things. First of all, Captain Holt has a sense of humor, so he doesn't take it personal. He's not like a Jake, you're an asshole. You just take it like, oh, please continue. As they, you want to be an asshole? Okay, cool, be an asshole. And there's another scene is that Holt see Jake as kind of like, I wouldn't say prankster, but kind of like possibly a douchey character, which makes sense here. So yeah, there's a nut scene. Captain Holt is very strict. He introduced himself, but not so much. See, this is what I would have. Here was a scene that I would have changed. I would have changed Captain Holt as giving a speech, right? but didn't give a speech. So now Gina, this is the funniest fucking thing. Gina says, I get a gay vibe from him. And the funny thing is, they're all cops. They're all supposed to have this sense of observation that is out of the world. Then Gina is the only one that says, you know what? I'm getting a gay vibe from that guy. There's nothing wrong with that, but the fact that the police didn't see it, I'm like, bro, this is really cool. So now, here's the scene. This is a brilliant scene between Catherine Holt and Terry Crews. Brilliant scene, because the scene is quite simple. You establish that they've been working together, which means they have a previously existing bond. They're not so much homies, but they know each other, right? Now, this is also the important part. He tells Terry Crews to introduce the team. Now, this is my favorite scene of episode 1. It's introduce your team, while each character is introducing themselves. So, for example, they can all come to the camera and say, "Hey, this is me, this is me, this is me." But with Terry Crews, he's evaluating them. So, for example, talk about Charles, how Charles is clumsy, but the biggest worker. Rosa, scary, crazy scary. Jake, best police. He does say that Jake is the best cop in the precinct, but he said he never grew up, which is a problem. And Catherine Holt see Jake as this project because, again, the police force is kind of a military system based on grade and hierarchy, which is very similar to the military, right? And in my opinion, the cool scene here is that you're establishing every single character from a authoritative perspective. So there is this guy, which is Terry Crews, which had to evaluate his co-worker. You would have said Jake and would have been all friends, but Terry had to do like a boss job, and then he was reporting to an officer, which again is kind of cool because you're establishing Terry as somewhat chill guy who's friend with all these people, but also as a professional that has to report. And at the same time, this is Holt who's kind of repping the fact that Terry Crews is a good officer because he believes in him. What I was saying with the hierarchy, this is a military system. The dream of every single cops is to take a shitty bee. I love bees. I love bees. Yes, I do. When you say you love bees, bees tends to go away, or they tend to stay, depending on the bee itself. If the bee has a praise kink, it will stay. If it has a degrading kink, it will leave. Degrading kink. You see Jake as this officer, and at the same time, it's complex because he sees Jake as this mess that he could fix, but he also possibly sees that Jake has a lot of potential, and this is why he wants to spend time training Jake, right? So this is really cool. Talk about Scully and Hitchcock, how they're a complete mess. But the funny thing, the running joke with the Brooklyn Nine-Nine is that Scully and Hitchcock are the worst police in the district or in the precinct. But as a younger character, they were amazing. The funny thing is, the show's kind of old, and the guy who plays young, I think it's Scully, but it might be young Hitchcock, is Alan Preacher, which the Giant, which used to be Aquaman and shit like that, right? So you have another one where Charles gets to try to get Rosa. And this is super cool because you know that Charles has a crush on Rosa, but you don't know how Rosa does a crush. The whole Rosa Charles is ambiguous because where I am in the 7th episode that I saw, there's a lot of instances where you think that Rosa kind of have a crush on Charles himself. The way she's talking to him, the way she treats him, she could have a crush on him herself, you know? So to talk about this, the crime is they sold a American a Habero a super expensive ham, which is I thought it was always I also thought it was prosciutto because prosciutto can be expensive, right? And of course Charles knows it. So this is cool because you also establish Charles as this food connoisseur, which is gonna be a big part of his personality. And you see that Charles is kind of intimidated by Rosa, which is kind of not my favorite. See, for example, I'm always going to compare this, okay, let's put it like that. I'm always going to compare it to The Office. I was doing Lost, and my way of seeing things was through Walking Dead. I was doing Prison Break, and my way of seeing things was through Walking Dead. Since Office and Brooklyn Nine-Nine has such a similar thing, I'm gonna put it, okay? Jim spent 4 seasons, 5 seasons trying to get Pam. And it's all pointless because it's she's down for him, but she's not down for him. Oh, she's down for him, but she's not down for him, so it's annoying. But at the same time, at the end, him, Jim, and Pam end up together. So all of that build-up serve a purpose, right? Rosa doesn't end up with Charles, so all that build-up serves no purposes except for saying that Charles didn't make it with Rosa. See? And the sad thing with the show is they don't reference that. Like, for example, Rosa is never gonna have feelings for Charles, which is okay. She doesn't have to have feelings, but then when it's your first romance in the whole series, it's kind of weird. They might have dropped the ID too, you know. So Gina and Old have this discussion again. Gina is an icon, so she's trying to bargain with Old. She's like, no, you're not gonna bargain here. This is my precinct, which is kind of funny because, again, the fact that she tried, kudos. And he's like, okay, well, and the cool thing is, Gina is able to gossip. You see, Terry has to keep it professional. I'm gonna put everybody down, but Gina will tell you the dirt because she likes gossip, and that's cool. And we have the scene, which is one of my favorite scenes. So Jake and Amy comes in, and they do a knocking on doors because, again, the guy was living in an apartment building, so they knock on every single door. The first people are weed head, so they go in and they're smoking weed and like, oh my god, I don't know what happened, I don't know how this bung end up here. But it says petty crime, so they don't care about it. Well, they don't care, but they don't arrest him, right? And then there's this funny thing. There's this funniest scene. This is possibly the funniest scene of episode 1. Well, there's 2 really funny scenes in this episode. So the first scene that is funny is this one. Is the guy, they ask him, and you can clearly tell that the guy is not there. He doesn't understand what's going on. So they show him a picture of the criminal and say, have you seen this guy? Would you know this guy? I don't remember if it's a criminal or the victim. The guy took the picture. Thank you. That was actually funny. So then there's this whole thing how Amy is not able to she talks about a bachelor, talks about a hot. It's not super interesting, it's not funny. So this we skip. And when I'm gonna skip something, and this again, somebody else will talk about it. If you're not happy, watch somebody else. There's this whole purpose of, and I'm going to show you a scene, and to me this is very important. There's whole purpose of Jake is the messiest of them all. So Old said, I want you guys to wear a tie, and Jake whole thing. This is kind of cool. I didn't say that yesterday because yesterday we did a review of this episode. I didn't think about it like that, but when you think about it, it makes sense. The whole thing about the tie is Jake sees it as a physical change versus a theoretical change or a imaginary change, right? So it's a physical change to this. Oh, I have to wear a tie, so this is the first step in changes. So this guy's resilient to changes, but Holt insists. And the thing that is really cool here is Jake is wearing a tie, and Charles is behind him. And when Jake showed the tie, Charles he's approving of his best friend. The bromance between Charles and Jake is amazing. It's sad because it feels one-sided, Charles being a better friend for Jake than Jake is, but at the same time, who gives a shit? So now we meet Radko, and Radko is the first criminal, so Radko is a seller. Now this is the cool thing. Boyles is like, yo, this ham is, and this is also something that is really cool about the episode. Charles doesn't have the most knowledge as the cops, but it doesn't matter, because he has a lot of knowledge about the situation itself. So this is when extracurricular activity are making your job nicer, which is making content, right? So he thinks about how much the price is. So what they think is Radko sold it and then he killed the guy to get it back and sell it the second time. So they ask it. This is a really cool scene. They ask Radko. They do a scene where Charles and Jake pretend like they're the murderer. It's cool because we see the bromance, but again, not cool because Boyles is playing the victim, which means that in the relationship or the friendship, Jake is in charge. Radko runs away. The funniest thing is there is the whatchamacallit. There's a old lady shopping and she gets in the way. So this is super funny. This is really, really, really funny. Jake is pissed off because he failed. Old puts him in in the case, the cold case, the case that he has open. And this is really sad because Terry is like, yo, I would love that job. Terry, which is a cop's shot and got into an accident. And then when he had his daughter, he didn't want to die, so he was really afraid of dying, which made him not a good cop. This is why Terry isn't as active as he used to be. Which is kind of sad because we want to see Terry loves yogurt, but Terry should love his job too, you know. So then the whole thing is kind of cool because by being there, Jake is gonna be finding out there's a old case that really looks like this one, and they're gonna find out where he's hiding Matko. So yeah, and Jake, the really cool thing here is that it's nuts. It's nuts. It's nuts. It's nuts because his friends are trying to help him say, hey, it's a bad man, it's a good thing, Jake. So that's really cool. You got Charles and Rosa is kind of shitting on him because they want to see a movie together and said, you choose, and he doesn't choose. So this is to prove that Charles is weak because he doesn't have a backbone to choose. But it also shows, in my opinion, Charles is strong because Rosa's like, yo, choose a movie or I'll fuck you up, right? And he's like, I don't know. But at the same time, in my opinion, Charles is strong because he literally gets shut down by Rosa, but goes back to attack, you know? So, in my opinion, that's strong. That might be a bit creepy, but that's strong. So yeah. Oh, I forgot to do that. Okay. We made a little bit of blunders. A binder. Blunder? So Jake goes in and he has this tie, so that's good, but he doesn't have pants. And this is super cool. This is super cool because this is the first scene where you see the true potential of the chemistry between Holt and Jake. So Jake doesn't wear pants to show that the tie doesn't matter, but Holt's like, hey, you did some spectacular work, let's tell everybody. So he brings everybody, they all make fun of him. So Holt won that one bet. It's a cool chemistry. And this shows that Holt is kind of badass. You see, Holt, the whole thing right now, and this is the pilot, so this is to sell the show. The whole thing with Holt, the whole charm of Holt is he used to be this cold robot, this emotionless guy. But then as the season goes on, he kind of gets to see. You would say that about Dwight. Holt has the same thing as Dwight, but Dwight's an asshole and Holt isn't. That's the whole thing. So what he does is he starts out as this not super likable guy, but ends up being the most likable of them all. Long story short, we have the scene behind Captain Holt, and this is really cool because this is really, really nice because this is where the show gets his props. See, a show like Good Place is emotional to me because there's emotion. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is also emotional because there's emotion. One of the first emotion is here. You see that Captain Holt is a legendary cop because he caught a killer when he was younger. So Jake is like, yo, I saw this file. This is amazing. Why'd you get promoted? And Holt is like, hey, I'm an openly gay black cop. So the police force wasn't for gay people and wasn't for black people because, again, it's back in the days, the old guard. And the funny thing, because the old guard is at the end of episode 8, and you show that things have really changed, right? They had this whole mentality. So, but Holt is like, yo, I didn't care. I was a good soldier. All I really wanted was my team. And it took me a while to get there, but I finally have a team, so I want to ship it up. And this is why Jake is going to think, oh, I understand the tie now. You have such a hard time giving your team that this is part of the uniform, and this is what puts us together. This is why it's important to you. You know? That's cool. I really like that. And even Holt, it's like, good job, Jake. That was a really cool moment. This is by far the second funniest scene ever. So there is they have this what do we call it, storage facility, and the cops is like, there's a janitor, and the cops are like, move away. She doesn't move, and Amy's like showing that she's a police, and the janitor says, I'm maintenance, and she showed the maintenance. So it's really funny. My apologies. There go. That's episode 1. There's also a cool moment where Jake captures them and he shows his team, like, this is this guy. So it really feels like they're close, and that's super nice. Which is a good scene, but not a good scene because you don't see Gina, you don't see Terry. So the team in itself, like, oh my god, this is such a cool moment. But wait, the team is not complete, so you're showing part of the team, but not the other part. Okay. Next one, we have the tagger. I don't know what you call it. The graffiti artist. I had a good word for it yesterday. Oh, I don't remember what it is. I don't remember what it is. Who cares? I did a 24-minute review of a 20-minute episode. Great Inc. So we have the first scene once again is Jake being late. This is gonna be a recurring thought, a recurring moment is how Jake is resistant, which is a good thing, but since he's the only one that's resistant to the others, it feels like the only one that has kind of like an opinion about the change, and a lot of people have the opinion about the change. If we're gonna make a show about people and not Brooklyn Nine-Nine is not about a police department. It's about the police guys in a department. So this is the fun part. But if you don't add their opinions, then you have like half a show, right? And that's a problem. Dude, we're doing good on the tower. Good. So ultimately show two pictures of Jake and how much of a mess he is. The first picture is a dump in the Philippines, and the second picture is a locker. And it's funny because both of the pictures are from the locker. We died when we made 668 coins, which is more than we usually do. Of course, I'm going to be adding this. Oh, I'm so close. I'm still standing. Yeah. Better than I ever did. Better than a true survivor. I'm still standing. Better than I ever did. Looking like a true survivor. I don't remember how much it was, so let's buy it. Oh, it's 675. 4. I'm gonna do health. Let's do health. Good. What is my lab? Oh, I didn't check the lab. Cash per wave is good. Okay, perfect. Perfection. Better than a true survivor. Better than I can forget it. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Jake complaining about the change. But then, Alt is kind of right here. You're late. Doesn't matter where you are.